Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome again to another edition of Freelance Friday. It's very exciting for me today to be connecting with somebody across the other side of the country. Here I am with Tara Vega. How are you, Tara?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am very well, thank you, for a very warm Chicago day. Thank you for sending it over to the windy Midwest for us. It's a little touch and go here, even in summer. It's like, oh, now it's 50 degrees. Great.
God,
Um,
can't imagine that.
but it's so great to connect, I think, with such a wide community of freelancers that are across the country and work internationally and all this kind of stuff, which I know you have done. But before you were going on these international journeys, you were working, um, you know, for companies in an event capacity, but then you went freelance. How's that journey been for you? How was it finding your own path doing that?
Yeah, I started working in events in 2011. I'd been in human resources before at Google and just wasn't really fulfilled. So events seemed like a really interesting industry to be a part of. So I made the leap. And I stayed there for another 5 years and then went to Facebook, did events at Uber. And then I started really thinking about freelancing. I wanted, more freedom, more flexibility, be able to take some time off. And so I reached back out to an old contact at Google because I knew they were hiring a lot more freelancers. And she said, yeah, I have a job for you. Want to start in 2 weeks? And I was like, okay, I guess I'm quitting my job. I was full-time at Uber at the time, and I gave them my notice the next day and then started freelancing from there. And so it's been 2 years that I've kind of been on this freelance journey, working with Google, with Eventbrite. I started my own company with a friend doing some events. So
Oh,
it's been
wow.
quite the journey.
Yeah, and I've taken a look at your website, and you do some amazing creative stuff. I have to say, it's really exciting to see the output that you have as a freelancer, but also having the opportunity to work on some really cool projects with brands. But how has that shift worked for you in terms of working directly as an employee to now you're working autonomously? Does that change the dynamic? How do people work alongside you? How does that process work now?
I was really nervous about going back to Google as a freelancer. I think it's just when you're a full-time employee, it's different. You have the perks and the benefits, and you're in that job. But being a freelancer, it's different. And so I wondered if the shift would feel off or odd, but it really didn't. I think having been full-time with the company, I had so much more knowledge. Like, I knew how to get things done. I knew who the players were. I knew how the team functioned. So I didn't really have that ramp up time where you have to kind of learn the new environment you're in. Like, I already just knew those things, and the team had a tremendous amount of trust in me. They had worked with me before, they knew my work, and so I was really able to come in and make a difference. And I think a lot of times with freelancers, they put you on these smaller side projects or these other projects because they have these big initiatives that they need to get done. And so for Google, when they did the CES activation, the roller coaster ride, I worked on everything that happened at CES that wasn't that ride for
All right.
Google. And it really allowed the team, like the full-time employees, to kind of have the space to work on that large project, but know that all the other important C-level meetings and all the stuff that happens in the background at CES was taken care of by somebody who understood the brand, knew how to work with people well, and was just able to get the job done. And it was a little different. I didn't go into the office all the time. I think that was a big shift from being a full-time employee. I had the freedom to sort of work from home. I didn't have to get a whole bunch of emails, like company-wide emails. I was really able to have that laser focus on the job that I was hired to do.
Yeah, and I guess you were a little bit had everyone else at a head start with working from home, because everyone's working from home now, but you've got used to that. So I guess that's one thing, but definitely the all company emails, not having to be involved with those. I can say that's definitely a plus.
Yeah, definitely is.
All right, so you were talking about working from home or working remotely, and this has also involved you working internationally for an extended period of time on projects, which I think you said um, was in Singapore.
Yeah.
And how do you then work with other clients, or how can you still operate on other projects? Do you bring in other people to help you out with those, or do you refer? What's your mode of operation there?
The Singapore opportunity was amazing. I was really excited to I was able to live there for 5 months and work with Google. I think there was, as I mentioned before, like a lot of trust involved in that, because the Google APAC team, the Asia Pacific team, did not know me, but the strength of the recommendation from the Google United States team kind of brought me over to work on the project with them. But yeah, 5 months away, I had to turn down the Google US work that I would normally do, projects that I'd been involved with that I no longer had the time for. And, you know, even in my own business, we were running events that were going to happen over my time in Singapore. And so my business partner had to step up and be that boots on the ground person to handle everything that was happening on the day of the event. But, you know, I was up at 2 a.m. taking meetings and trying to make sure that operations were flowing smoothly. But for really long-term projects, yeah, I ended up referring folks for different jobs that I thought they were good for. You know, I've worked in the industry for a long time, and I know a lot of people, and a lot more people are transitioning into freelance work. So I have this sort of network of people that I trust and that I can refer to these clients and say, I know this person's work and I think they'd be a good fit for you.
Yeah, so I think that really speaks to the trust topic and the collaboration within the freelancer community, because everyone wants to help each other out, and they don't want to let the other person down or the reputation down of somebody that's referred them, and that really promotes, you know, a great result from the work that freelancer does, I think. So with the travel though, you also are quite the blog enthusiast, and I'm sure it has involved travel, but what are the kinds of stories you are putting out there? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I started blogging in 2003, back in college, and it was really just to keep people informed about my life. But as time moved forward, I started to talk a lot about travel. Freelancing allowed me to take time off. Like I took 3 months off last year and was able to go to a whole bunch of different spots. And so I love blogging about that. And I, you know, was an expatriate, an expat in Singapore, and I started a blog about what that experience was like, from, you know, getting a bank account and, you know, working in events in a completely different market, in a completely different language. You know, our event was supposed to be in China, so it was a different market, and it was interesting to write about those experiences. And recently I've even started a blog about television. I love TV and film, so
Wow.
talking about the art that I enjoy watching.
How did you take the time off? Aren't you somebody that never has to look for work? It just comes to you?
I am, but I made a conscious decision that I was not going to take any projects during a certain amount of time. And, you know, I spoke to the people that I've worked with, and they were like, yeah, the summertime, okay, great. Like, we'll see you back in the fall. And so it really just ended up working out really well. And I think that is the strength of the relationships that I have with my clients. Like, they know me and they trust me, but they also know that sometimes people need to take a little bit of time off. You want to do some travel or see the world.
Yeah, need a timeout. Timeout is pretty important, I think, to, you know, reset. And right now we are doing a bit of a reset in general. And whilst you're still probably working quite hard, you are taking the time to upskill a bit. I understand you're going to film school. So are you going to perhaps recreate some of your blog stories into projects through this new avenue, this new skill set?
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm really going back to learn the skills to be able to produce video. It's a medium I've never worked in before. I've written for a long time, but I've never, you know, I've produced events, but I've never produced a television show or film. And I really do think some of the experiences that I've had in my life would translate really well on film. And I'm hoping that it's also a good way to work with other freelancers in the industry that I've worked with in the past, who might have some of these skills and can help me bring our stories to life.
Yeah, I think, you know, everyone has like all of these, or if the people that you're going to work with anyway have got all these like ingredients that they bring into the final piece that is produced, which I'm sure with your stories at the helm will be incredibly entertaining and insightful. And I don't know if any of them need, you know, a gay best friend in the storyline, but sign me up. I'd be great for it. Well, thanks so much, Tara. I've had a wonderful time chatting with you today, and hopefully we will get to meet in person very soon and work together. That'll be great.
I would love that. I would love that. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.